So Shazam, Fury of the Gods is out. It is in theaters. So if you get a chance and you're not sure if you want to go watch it, I highly suggest go watching it and supporting it. I do think it's a solid movie. So let's talk about why.
Power of the gods. You ripped it from our father's core.
I think Shazam right now is at a weird spot in the DC universe. I think the DC universe itself is in a weird spot. I liked the movie, so I'm just going to talk generally about the movie Shazam itself, what like the standalone movie of the Fury of the Gods, and not really get into too much of the stuff. I'll talk about it later. So if you want to hear me talk about like the DC movies and all that, stick around. But as far as Shazam is concerned, I think right now on Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic, I don't quite remember which one. I think it's Rotten Tomatoes. It has a bad score, like under like just slightly half, I think, like 50 something percent. Obviously, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, I think that's what it's called, got also a rotten score. I haven't seen that movie, so I can't really judge whether it deserved it or not. But I have seen Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and I can honestly say it does not deserve that rating. I don't think this movie was that bad. I honestly think the lowest could possibly score this movie, in my honest opinion, is a 70%. And me personally, I don't like scoring things. I don't like giving ratings on things anymore. I stopped doing that a little while ago. I just think it's kind of stupid. I just want to give you guys the vibes and how I felt about the movie and what my thoughts and opinions are on it. And obviously, it's subjective. So I don't really want to give a score because my score isn't always going to be the same thing as the next guy. With that being said, my time watching this movie, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do think I need to see it again, which is why I say the scoring system is kind of stupid. I feel like sometimes you go into a movie with expectations. Sometimes you go into a movie with thoughts, with brimming ideas, or things in your head that you've already set a standard of. So when you see that movie and certain things don't happen, you kind of just don't, you kind of hate on it just to hate on it, and I don't really like that. Luckily for Shazam, Fury of the Gods, the only expectations I had was I just wanted it to follow what the first Shazam sort of laid on to, which was like, I think they had a perfect balance of tone, which was enough comedy, but also enough of the darkness within Billy Batson's backstory that I felt like they did really well in the first movie that I just wanted to see translated in the second movie. And I can say with 100% that they did that really well. This is a great continuation of that story. It's a great continuation to the Shazam family. It's a great continuation to Billy Batson. The only gripe I have with this movie is something I would talk to my fiance about right after we watched the movie, and I think we were both in agreement with it. Freddy. I don't think Freddy is a bad character per se. He's actually one of the better characters in the Shazam storylines. But in this movie, I felt like his story outweighed Billy's story. And whether that's a good or a bad thing, I guess you kind of have to figure out with what your preference is. For me personally, I felt like I wanted to see more of Billy's story and less of Freddy's story. And in hindsight, there's nothing like plot wise that makes the Freddy story not work in that sense. It just feels like it's so heavy when the main character is the main character is Shazam. It's Billy Batson. It's the guy who gave them powers, the guy that has to take up the mantle to be the leader of the family and to later on do what needs to be done. It's just about him. And I understand that the family aspect is huge, and it's what holds this movie up really well is that family aspect and being able to show all the different family members and all their different quirkinesses. I don't know if that's a word, I'm running with it, but to show all their powers and all the differences between them and how they all grow and become who they are is really nice, refreshing, and good and relatable and fun and all of those things. And that's what I generally thoroughly enjoyed about Shazam Fury of the Gods. Is it's just a fun movie. I don't know, maybe you got to go into it pessimistic or just going into it already hating on DC films, because I think it's really well done. I can't think of anything really highly overly negative other than maybe, yeah, it might be too goofy for you. But I mean, you got to put into perspective, the superheroes in this movie are literal kids. Like, they're growing as we see them. So yeah, they're going to act goofy. And yeah, they're going to act like, campy. That's just the nature of the beast. One of the things I enjoyed about the Shazam comics is they had that balance where they showed Billy as sometimes a serious character, but when he became Shazam, it's almost like he became more of a kid because he got to be able to do things that he didn't experienced before. He got to experience a little bit more freedom. He got to feel like he was actually important in people's lives, because obviously as a foster kid, I can't imagine how you feel sort of left out from the world. So that's something that they really do really well in the first and this movie, is showing that difference, showing that side of it, because you're used to seeing like the normal superhero where like it's just their everyday persona, and then they go into their superhero mode and clearly they're like, they completely turn into a different person. With this one, it's just more expressive, so you see the kids express themselves a lot more, which I think is really neat. The closest thing that we get to it is in Spider-Man. Spider-Man has a lot of fun being Spider-Man, so obviously we get to see that. But with Shazam, you see that too, and I really enjoy that aspect of the character. Now, at the top of this video, I did say that Shazam is in a weird spot. The DC films are in a weird spot, so if you were waiting for this part, well, here it comes. I am a bit confused as to what's going to happen post this movie in the DC films. Obviously, we have Aquaman that's coming out next. Obviously, we have another DC Superman take. And we have a lot of things, and James Gunn came out in a video, and I was going to do a video on it, but I didn't even know how to express my feelings about it. We have The Flash that is coming out that might retroactively change everything. All I know is I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you don't want to know, then right now I suggest you fast forward and go to the end, or just thanks for watching, because spoilers. The post-credit scene in this movie teases something that I think wants to tie itself in with the Black Adam movie, but at the end of the movie, we clearly see Wonder Woman, and we know that, like, we don't know, actually, my bad. We don't know if Gal Gadot is coming back as Wonder Woman, but James Gunn acknowledged this movie as almost like part of his universe, but he's also making it clear that DC is different now. Everything is just under a complete weird state in the DC movies, and I personally, as a huge DC fan, and am disappointed because I don't know what's happening. First, I'm just disappointed because The Rock came out and made Black Adam, and while I thought Black Adam was okay, obviously it's not like, a masterpiece per se, and I felt like he should have been in the Shazam movies. They set him up to be in the Shazam movies, and he dropped the ball. Dwayne Johnson, this is on you. But clearly, we see the kid that plays Billy, he's getting older. They're taking time with making these movies. It's in a weird position. It's like, are we going to see Shazam again, and are we going to see Billy again? That's my big concern and or thought. They might just keep Zachary Levi and keep him as Shazam, but not show Billy. Maybe we don't get a third Shazam movie. There's a lot of questions to be had. There's a lot of things that are, I don't know, still up in the air, because this Shazam 2 movies, clearly, the first one showing Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, and the second one showing Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, and clearly harping back on Aquaman and Batman in references. This is clearly a part of Zack Snyder's universe. And so, for James Gunn to acknowledge it, it is a bit confusing. Especially because they're trying to bring in the Justice Society and act like that's the new Justice League. I'm not quite exactly sure how I feel about what's happening. All I will say is Shazam, Fury of the Gods, I highly enjoyed it. And if you just want to watch a good movie and don't go into it thinking about external things like what's this matter in who cares what this matters in the universe? When you watch the movie, don't think about that. Do that for me, if you will. Because I feel like it kind of makes it all kind of confusing, which sucks, but it is what it is. As a movie itself, as just a core movie from Shazam 1 and now Shazam 2, I think it's a good follow-up. I think Shazam Fury of the Gods is a really good movie, and I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. But I don't know. Who am I to say? I'm not a huge hardcore DC fan. But you guys let me know what you guys thought of Shazam, Fury of the Gods. If you guys have the same opinion on me, do you think the critics were wrong? Do you think this movie actually deserves a lot more love than it's getting? And do you hope that it is successful? And what do you see in the future of the DC films? Because I sure as hell don't have any clue.